right. What is up, chat? Let's go, man. Let's go. I'm pumped. It's going to be a good day. It is a good day to have a good day. Duh. It is pretty shitty outside, but we'll deal with it. We will deal with it. Freezing rain, a little bit of snow. The rain's turning into snow, if that makes any sense. Going to be real slippery out there tomorrow. Going to be real slippery tomorrow. What's up? We got A Rules in the chat. We got Boxing Mark from Steelers Nation Australia. Shout out. What a wild time to be alive, he says. Absolutely. Absolutely. Craziness happening right now. I thought it was dying down. It seems like it. There's just not that big of signings that are happening. More or less kind of just middle of the pack players. But we're going to talk about it all. We are going to dive into it all, including what we missed as soon as we got off live last night. Like I told you there was going to be moves made as soon as I got off. And there was. Alexander Mattison re-signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go, baby. How you doing? Keep it moving. What? We're talking about Orlando Brown today. He signed last night. That should be a good one to talk about. Should be. It's a good day to have a good day. New quote. Yes, sir. Appreciate the like, A Rules. Make sure to drop a like on this. Subscribe to the channel. I see we gained a couple subs from yesterday. That's what we like to see. That is what we like to see. Harrison Smith definitely is going to get covered today. We talked about him briefly on the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate. Hey, no problem, A Rules. No worries, man. No worries at all. We had a blast, though. I was waiting for you to pop in, but it's all right. It is A-okay. Oh, you're from Plymouth. Okay. Yeah, it is not fun out here. It is not fun at all. All right, we got some decent people here right now. Typical viewership, which is what I like to see. Hopefully some more stragglers decide to pop on in and say hello, say what's up. I'm also live on Facebook. Yeah, I am on Facebook as well right now. So let's see how many people pop in over there. Probably 0, but I don't give a shit. Excuse the language. Sorry about it. No, I am in the Mankato area. That is where I am. So, not too shabby. Let's get it started, shall we? Let's get this music shut down. And let's talk about everything that happened in the National Football League, and we'll cover basically what happened after I got all these graphics up. Because there's still stuff popping off. There will be for the rest of the night. Who knows? Maybe the Vikings decide to make a move at 9:30 again at night. Like, what are we doing? All right, let's pause the music. Let's get going. Shall we? 7 likes. What's up? There we go. All right. So if you guys have any information that you want me to cover, one sec. Let's get the mic on. Not the. All right. So if you guys have anything you want me to cover, let me know. And we'll talk about it. I can try my best to bounce around. I have all the graphics basically ready to rock and roll. I got my note sheet here, and let me tell you, again, full day's worth of work. Okay, almost didn't go live because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough time. Syndicate Sports Minnesota is going to be on hold for a little bit. My buddy could not do it because it's a conflict of interest or something like that with his work, and that's okay. But that is going to be paused for a little bit. So I was able to actually do the live stream tonight, which is kind of cool. I was planning on maybe doing the XFL game, but that starts at 9:30, which means I ain't going to get off, till 12:30, and I got to work at 7 a.m. So I'm probably not going to do that. If I do, I might do the first half. We'll see how I'm feeling. I probably should, because why not? All right. A Rule says, I just saw the video from Fox 9 interviewing Josh and Byron. Okay. Yeah, they're not the greatest thing in the world. I mean, they look, like you said, decent. Nothing big, nothing huge. Byron Murphy, I will say, though, he's a dog. Okay, his stats don't say that. But, what was it? We talked about it just the other day where he was, I kept the stats just so I could read it off again. Boom, right here. Murphy gave up 9.7 yards per reception in primary coverage last season, so that is against the primary receiver, basically, and that ranked 9th among corners, facing a minimum of 50 targets. And he also only gave up 7 plays of at least 15 yards for a tie, or to tie for 4th among corners. So, I mean, it is confirmed. I mean, you're probably going to confuse him anyways with him. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. But I think Byron Murphy is going to be a dog for us. I mean, that's the type of player Brian Flores wants on this defense. And speaking of the defense, right? If you haven't watched yet, or if you're not a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, you probably haven't seen my video, but I released it a little late. You probably already seen the news. The Minnesota Vikings restructured Harry the Hitman. Dude, I got an eyelash in my eye, and it is bugging the crap out of me. What is going on? All right. Hopefully it doesn't bother me anymore. But we restructured Harrison Smith, Harry the Hitman Smith contract, which essentially saved us about $6.37 million in cap space, which is huge, but it doesn't really matter too much at this point. All this is doing right now is just kind of clearing some money up so that we can sign our draft picks. Maybe there's other free agents we're looking at via maybe corner. You know, Byron Jones just got released by the Miami Dolphins last night, so that is a real option to reunite with Brian Flores here in Minnesota. I would absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. You're also looking at CJ GJ, former Philadelphia Eagle. He is on the free agency market. That's CJ Gardner-Johnson, if you don't know who CJ GJ is. Absolute dog, if you will. Want him on the defensive side. But we restructured Harrison Smith's contract, which essentially is going to give him about $8 million this season. And he gets about $2 million in incentives. So what the incentives basically mean is he has to do a certain amount of things, right? He has to get a certain amount of tackles. He has to make a Pro Bowl and stuff like that in order to earn that $2 million in incentives. So this, like I said, cleared about $6.37 million in salary cap, which is good in cap space for us, because we also, obviously, we talked about it. Oh, no, off the air. That was off the air. Okay. Alexander Mattison re-signed with the Minnesota Vikings. I loved that deal. Absolutely was ecstatic when I heard the news. When he agreed to a 2-year contract to remain with the Minnesota Vikings per source. This is per Tom Pelissero. He said the deal is worth $7 million. That can get up to $8 million with $6.35 million in guarantees. So right as this happened, right as this signing happened, I was kind of questioning. I was like, okay, so we locked up Mattison. What does this mean for Dalvin Cook? And I'm not really sure, right? There's been rumors of him potentially seeking offers elsewhere. Not really offers, but like we're receiving trade calls for Dalvin Cook. I'm not really sure how much the Vikings are listening to those trade calls, just because, hey, yesterday at 3 p.m. Central Time, every single team had to be below or under the cap, right? And we were. So we're just continuously clearing up cap, restructured Harrison Smith's contract, restructured Kirk Cousins' contract, pushed it down the line into those voidable years, and we're just basically saving ourselves some money. So why would we want to go and get rid of Dalvin Cook? I don't know, but that's a real possibility. I could see us trading away Dalvin Cook, rolling with Alexander Mattison, Kene Nwangwu in the backfield, Ty Chandler also in the backfield, and just kind of see what happens. Maybe even draft a running back, which would, I don't know if I like that. But I think what's going to actually happen here is, since we cleared up all that cap space, Dalvin's already against the books right now. His contract already became set in stone yesterday at 3 p.m. Central Time. There's a real chance and a possibility that Dalvin remains a Minnesota Viking for this upcoming season. The duo will be back. That is what my belief is. I don't see us trading away Dalvin unless we can get some good compensation, or the Vikings could trade away Dalvin Cook for, good compensation, make maybe a 2nd-round pick, maybe a 3rd-round pick and a player, something around those lines. I just don't see that happening because he's a part of this team. He doesn't want to take a pay cut. We're not going to have to give him one because we're, like I said, again, many times, we're under that salary cap. So I think he's going to remain a Viking. We'll have Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison back in that backfield, and I'm pumped for it. Cannot wait to see what happens this season. The Vikings are making moves, man. It's all going to depend on the draft and what we do going forward, right? Me and my buddy, he was just over here. His name is Dempsey. Shout out to Dempsey. But he came, and we were talking about the Vikings and what we might potentially do. We even did a 1st-round mock draft thing where basically we took the Vikings pick, simulated everyone else's pick, and then we were left with Deontay Banks, basically, is what we selected. There was a defensive lineman, other people there. Zay Flowers, who Kevin O'Connell has spoke about a couple times. But we decided to go with Deonte Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. If you don't know who he is, I did release a video back on February 26th on Minnesota Vikings Syndicate. So if you want to check that out, you can. But from what I remember, he's a dog. He's one of the top corners. But this draft class is corner heavy. I mean, there's a lot, and they're good. All of them are basically good. Fast as shit, tall. They get the job done. So I would be okay to get Deonte Banks, but if we don't go out and sign a corner this free agency, like if we don't go land Byron Jones, I assume the Minnesota Vikings are probably going to take a corner with that first overall pick, or, okay, hear me out, might trade out of that first round pick, which to me wouldn't make too much sense, but at the same time, if we got the right value for that first round pick, like my buddy said, what if the Chiefs gave you the 32nd overall pick, a third rounder, and a fourth rounder to move up to the 23rd or the 24th overall pick for the Vikes? Would you take it? And I was like, well, maybe. I definitely would think about it, because then you're only moving back, 6-8 spots. So your player that you wanted might not be there. But at the same time, there's so many corners in this year's draft that you can literally pick one up in the third round, maybe even in the fourth round. And if we want to, we can do it in the second round. It's just, it all goes back to, do we want to draft a wide receiver? We lose Adam Thielen this year, so we're stuck with JJ, Justin Jefferson, KJ Jettis, and KJ Osborne as well. We have TJ Hawkinson on the line. I mean, we do have Jalen Naylor, and we do have Jalen Reagor, but Jalen Reagor, come on. I mean, adios, amigo. Like, I do not want him. Apparently, the Vikings are linked to DJ Chark as well. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen with the Minnesota Vikings. The speculation is kind of crazy. Yes, I do think KJ would take over. So KJ would take over the number 2 spot. Yes. I have yet to see who the 2 teams are that are looking Dalvin's way. The Dolphins are one of them. I do believe the Dolphins are for sure one of them. I cannot remember. My buddy said the other team's name, and who was it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but for sure Dolphins, and there was one other team that are looking at Dalvin, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But KJ, he'd be our number 2 receiver. He'd be the Vikings' number 2 receiver, and it would make a lot of sense for that to happen, just because, especially if we draft one. If we draft one, that guy has to prove that he's, a beast and can take that number 2 spot or that number 2 role. Or you look at, if we don't take a wide receiver, you still have Jalen Naylor, okay, 3rd string, or Jalen Reagor, 3rd string. One of the 2 would have to step up and try to hold their own, if you will, play their role and do the things that they're good at, which would be wide receiver 3 things. So whatever that means, you can take it however you want. But yeah, KJ would take that number 2 spot. Definitely. So there's a lot of things that's happening in Vikings camp. There's a lot of things happening around the NFL in general. I'm telling you, it is straight chaos. Straight chaos. A Rules is like, okay, you're going to look for it. Appreciate that. All right, so let's get to the news. We're going to be live for about an hour, maybe a little over an hour like we have the past 2 days. We've been grinding. Second was the Falcons, but he's still under contract till 2025. Yeah. Yep, so he's still under contract for another 2 years, another 3 years or whatever. Off of Yardbarker. Okay. But see, I mean, yeah, I could see. I don't know. How do I want to say this? I don't think the Falcons would do it. Because what was his name? Algier? Tyler Algier or something like that. Sort of the T, his first name. It escapes me. And then they have Cordero Patterson, I believe. I just don't see them doing that. Miami, again, I probably don't see them doing it as well. They just re-signed Raheem Mostert. Jeff Wilson's still back there. They signed another running back. Was it Sony? No. They signed another guy for the running back crew, so I don't think Miami would either. So that kind of leads me to believe Dalvin Cook's going to remain. What? No way. Jimmy G failed his physical? So what does that mean? Does the contract become voided? Wouldn't that mean the contract would become voided then at that point? Wouldn't it? Oh my God. Okay. So Jimmy G not a Raider maybe. Let me go look. I'm going to go check the Twitter real quick. That is crazy. See, that's what I'm kind of thinking. If he failed his physical, that is not a good sign. I didn't see anything. I gotta look this up. That's really crazy. Because what does Vegas do then? What does Vegas do then? No, Jimmy G wouldn't retire. I don't think so. Jimmy G. Garoppolo failed physical. Yeah, they always have to do a physical. So every time somebody new is on the team, you always run through a physical to see if you're physically fit enough or ready to go and ready to play. You have to pass it. If you don't pass, it's not a good sign. Okay, so all I'm seeing is that he failed physicals he passed physicals with the 49ers. Nothing on the Raiders. Hey Pete, where did you find that? Because if that's true, that is big news. Like, did you find it from an insider or something? Because, yeah, that would suck for Las Vegas. Because then Vegas would have to find somebody new. That contract just becomes garbage. Doesn't exist. Right? Yeah, so we'll wait on that Jimmy G news. Apparently, per Pete Goman, probably said that name wrong. I apologize, Pete. The Raiders YouTube channel talking about it. Okay. So apparently Jimmy G has failed his physical. Not good. Not good at all. We'll stay tuned for that. We'll wait for the tweets to pop out, but that does not mean good news at all. What's up, Walter? Appreciate you. What you mean by that? All right, let's get to the news, shall we? First and foremost, this came late last night, I believe, about 9 hours ago, maybe about 10 hours ago. But per Tom Pelissero, this is big news. Not really, but it is something. Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith restructured his deal, which includes $3 million signing bonus and a $3 million guaranteed base salary. He can earn a lot more through a $9 million playtime incentive and a $2 million playoff incentive. It's cleared $9.6 million in cap or in 2023 cap space for Dallas. Okay, so they cleared a massive amount of cap space for themselves. Remember, they released Ezekiel Elliott just a day ago. And I kind of seen that happening. I'm sure most of you did as well. Zeke just wasn't cutting it anymore. They had to find out, or they had to figure out that Tony Pollard's the guy. Okay? I mean, that was very apparent last season. When Zeke was in, nothing was happening. As soon as Tony Pollard came in, bam, fireworks, left and right. Left and right. Yes, I will have to look, or maybe once a tweet pops up, because I'm sure something will be. I mean, he might be devastated, but that's his own fault, right? Unless it's just from his injury. I'd be devastated. That would suck. Be like, really? Are you kidding me? But Tyron Smith restructured his deal, saving the Cowboys about $9.6 million in salary cap. They're probably going to be making more moves. Not really sure what those moves will be. But stay tuned for more information on that. Also, last night, big signing. Remember the Kansas City Chiefs deciding to part ways with Orlando Brown? They signed, what was it, Jawan Taylor, I believe was the signing. Let's see real quick so I'm not wrong. Right here. Yeah, so the Chiefs signed Jawan Taylor, former Jaguars offensive tackle, 4-year, $80 million. However, that meant the Chiefs were parting ways with Orlando Brown, and guess what? Per Tom Pelissero, 4-time Pro Bowl tackle and Super Bowl champ Orlando Brown Jr. is finalizing a 4-year, $0.92 million deal, front-loaded deal with the Bengals that includes an over $31 million signing bonus, largest ever for an offensive lineman. Brown's agent Michael Portner confirmed the deal. Now he has protected Lamar Jackson, mostly Patrick Mahomes, and now he gets to protect Joe Burrow. We know what's going on with that Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. It was supposed to be something special last year. It really wasn't at all, even though they tried to load it up. Didn't seem like things had changed. But now I think we're going to see an instant difference with Orlando Brown over there. I mean, he's been a stud for the past couple years. And it's kind of crazy, right? The Chiefs say, yep, we're moving on. We're going to sign Jawan Taylor. And he's like, okay, sounds good. I'm going to go to the Bengals. A team that took you a while to beat. Patrick Mahomes has only won one game against Joe Burrow. And I'm gonna go win for them. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Kansas City. I'm gonna stomp on you. And I'm gonna walk away a champ. Now there's apparently rumors, right, that last season Orlando Brown turned down a $6 million or a 6-year deal worth $132 million. Okay, so people are questioning why he signed this 4-year, $64 million. I guess at first I thought it was a 3-year. But as I look at it, he turned that 6-year down because it's 6 years. That's a long time. Especially for an offensive lineman. You don't want to be stuck in one place for 6 years unless you are dead set that you are going to be a stud and you're going to stay healthy. This right here, in turn, this 4-year deal gives him the opportunity basically to not only have this money right here, lock up this money for 4 years, he can sign another contract. Okay, so in the time he signed that 1 year or that one contract with that 6 years, he can now have 2 deals instead of 1. More money in the end, unless he performs horribly, which I don't see happening. But this is pretty good. Yes, Joe does need him. This is a very good signing for the Cincinnati Bengals. I liked it immediately as I seen it. It's kind of a in the face to the Chiefs because they didn't want him, but they wanted Jawan Taylor, gave him basically a bigger deal than Orlando Brown, which doesn't make any sense to me, I guess. But what do I know? Not much. He must be happy. Yeah, front load it too. He has to be happy. That's a lot of money, man. That is a lot of money. All right. So there's more news obviously popping off. Let me cross this stuff off. Oh, also with that deal, he will intend to play left tackle. Okay, that is where he's played basically his entire career. Told the Bengals to basically kick rocks. I'm not going to play anywhere else. I'm going to be your left tackle. They said, okay, how you doing? Keep it moving. That is where he's going to play. He's not going to play on the right side of things or anything like that. Moving forward. Bro, for real, if I could get $31 million right now, woo, I would quit a lot of things. My job, see you later. I'd invest. I do a lot of cool things. Let's just put it that way. I'd splurge for a little bit. $31 million at signing. Crazy. Absolute craziness. Oh, yeah. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, remember they don't have Leonard Fournette. They still have Rachaad White, I believe. And that's basically it. But they decided to sign running back Chase Edmond to a 1-year deal. Not really sure on the specifics of that deal. I'm sure it's going to be like a couple million, maybe like 6 if I had to guess, maybe lower than that. Maybe $6 million, 1 year, $6 million. I'm not sure on the exact number, but I do know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Chase Edmond, former Miami Dolphins running back, former Arizona Cardinals running back, to a 1-year deal. Congrats to Chase Edmonds. Let's go, my guy. Appreciate it. Let's have a day, shall we? Leonard Fournette's still a free agent. So he's still shopping. And I'm not sure how much he's asking for. If somebody knows how much Leonard Fournette's asking for, let me know. But he is on the market. I don't think he's going to end up back in Tampa. I don't think they want to pay that. I do not believe they want to pay it. Also, the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is a big one, ended up parting ways with Miles Jack, linebacker over there. Still a young dude, still has a lot of get up and go power. Hey, if you're still in the chat, let me know what were your thoughts on Miles Jack. Do you think he's good? I think he still has a lot left in the tank. He's young. Okay, come to the Vikes. I don't know much either of Miles Jack, but when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, they called his name quite a bit. I mean, he was an absolute stud on that defense. If we're looking at Miles Jack's stats real quick. Okay, so they're just going to pull that out. Okay. Okay, not bad. Not great. I just want to see all. Oh, no, I wasn't talking about Pat Mahomes. No, nope. Miles Jack. Okay. So last year with Pittsburgh, 104 total tackles. No interceptions. No touchdowns, 3 pass deflections, no sacks. So he's basically just a guy that's going to run around and make a tackle. That's kind of all he's good for. So I guess if you're looking for a run-stopping linebacker, Miles Jack is probably your option, probably the best option out there right now. But I'd be okay with the Vikings signing him on a lower end deal. 2 years, couple mil, you know? Oh, no, you're good, A-Rules. But Miles Jack, released by the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think it'd be a good signing wherever he ends up. He was drafted in 2016, second round, to the Jacksonville Jaguars, basically right away in the second round, too. 4th pick in that second round. So Miles Jack is currently in the free agency market. Be interesting to see where he goes. Very, very interesting. All right. The Buffalo Bills made a move today. Not a big move, but a decent one, I'd say. They have James Cook in that backfield. Devin Singletary, I believe, is still in that backfield, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. But they decided it was a good opportunity to re-sign one of their running backs that they got from the Indianapolis Colts, Perfield Yates. The Bills and running back Nyheim Hines have now officially agreed to a renegotiated contract that includes $1 million signing bonus and the chance to earn more than $4.79 million in cash. He was previously due per source. It helps Hines upside Buffalo's salary cap. Okay, so Nyheim Hines finds himself back with the Buffalo Bills. Pretty good signing, I'd say. It's a cheap deal. They renegotiated, probably clear some cap, if I had to assume. Nyheim Hines. I don't know why. There it is. Boom. All right, so last year, whew. Okay, they used him as a returner. Yes, 1-year deal. Well, I think so. I think it doesn't say. It didn't say anything. He's a solid running back, catch and run, yeah. Last year he didn't have anything, okay? 6 attempts, -3 yards, but they used him as a returner. And he was explosive at returning. So if Buffalo decides to go that same route, I think they got a good one. I think Nyheim Hines will be perfect for Buffalo in that return game, punt-wise, kick-wise, whatever the case may be. I do too. I didn't even notice that they didn't. I think it's just his current deal, which, let's see. Okay, so it might be 2 more. It says here, it just says he signed a 3-year, $18.6 million contract with the Indianapolis Colts. It doesn't say when. That's on Spotrac. When did he sign it? Okay, so he becomes a free agent in 2025. So he still has 2 years. So he signed that deal last year. So he still has the next 2 years, this year and next year, under that contract, but they basically just kind of cleared it up, renegotiated, and helped their cap situation out. That is the gist of this situation right now for Buffalo. So they basically just restructured it, helped him out a little bit. But Nyheim Hines staying in Buffalo, most likely as the returner, if I had to assume. Are you talking about his overall general contract? Let's look. I can look. Harrison Smith contract. Let's look. Okay. So he will be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So he signed a 4-year, $64 million deal. Was that last year? In 2021. Okay. So we still have him till 2025, and then in 2026, he's an unrestricted free agent. So after the restructure, it basically, all they did is I think, push the money down the line, so the next 2 years, and just made his contract for this year a little bit smaller, if that makes sense, because the cap space is only going to continue to grow. Only going to get bigger. It's going to be upwards. It's going to hit $300 million, if not next year, for sure the year after that. So, yeah, we are decent until then, for sure. Next year, there's a chance he probably ends up leaving, maybe retiring or something like that. But I think he's going to finish out his contract in the purple and gold because there were reports that he actually was receiving interest from a lot of other teams. But in the end, he wanted to stay home in that purple and gold. So I'm pumped. Yeah, for real. All right, let's move forward. Where we're at. Just hit on Nyheim Hines. Okay. The Dolphins continue to make some moves. Continuing to make a lot of moves. Re-signing running backs left and right. We already heard about last year's situation. They also just made a splash move. Not really, but it's a mid-level player. Kind of helps out their wide receiver room just a little bit. This is per Adam Schefter. Dolphins are signing former Jets wide receiver Braxton Berrios to a one-year deal per league source. The deal was negotiated and confirmed by Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey. And so now Braxton Berrios continues his tour around the AFC East. He was with the Patriots in 2018, the Jets from 2019 to 2022, and he's now joining the Miami Dolphins. They're signing him to, it just basically says a one-year deal. I don't know why I kept that top one, but I did. Sorry about it. Yeah, he was okay. He's nothing special. He's not going to, kind of go over the top, if you will. He's not going to be a dog. He's going to be a check-down wide receiver, maybe play some slot, but Miami locks up another wide receiver weapon, which is a good one. I am okay with this deal. Shout out to everyone watching, by the way. Appreciate everyone in here. Make sure to drop that like, subscribe to the channel. Be much appreciated. Don't be afraid to drop in the chat if you want me to talk about something that happened around the NFL or just anything in general. I'll give you my honest opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but I can give you my 2 cents, I suppose. But shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Braxton Berrios heading to the Miami Dolphins. Now their wide receiver room, I believe, consists of Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios. Who else do they got? There's a guy I'm missing. I talked about this the other day, and I just could not remember for the life of me. Now, why am I searching his name? Miami Dolphins depth chart. Okay, so John has a question. Let me get to that after this. I want to see the wide receivers. Okay. Okay. So they got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Braxton Berrios as their 1, 2, and 3 receivers. They still have Cedric Wilson and Eric Azukanma and Freddie Swain. So, I mean, they don't have a terrible wide receiver room. They have a decent one with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, but it's not going to be bad, man. It's not going to be bad. John says, let me move to the live scene right now. Braxton Berrios back to the Miami Dolphins. Or not back, but with the Miami Dolphins. Eckler more likely? Question mark. Bears, Cardinals, or the big stretch Pollard to Chargers and Eckler to Dallas due to Kellen Moore wanting a familiar face? Ooh, that's a good one, John. That is a good one. He's not going to go to the Bears. I don't believe, because breaking news, the Bears are signing former Panthers running back Deonta Foreman to a 1-year, $3 million deal. Okay, so maybe the Bears after all. That is not a big deal. Yeah, that's a tiny deal for not a great back, but that ain't big. The Bears would make sense, but please, dear God, no. Please. I beg of you. I don't want it. Cardinals would be nice, but don't they have James Conner? So that's probably not going to happen. Pollard, I don't think Dallas is going to move on from Pollard. Just because they signed or they released Ezekiel Elliott, which right then and there tells you that they're sold on the fact that Tony Pollard is going to be their starting running back. Who do you think's better, Pollard or Eckler? If you're the Dallas Cowboys, who would you rather have? A guy that you've seen do amazing stuff, incredible stuff in that star, or a guy that's not been on your team, has been a dude, an absolute stud, freak of nature, Austin Eckler, he's a dog, okay? But I don't know. That's a tough one, John. That is chat, let me know. Where do you think Eckler goes? Where do you think Austin Eckler goes? I couldn't tell you. Me and John brought up the possibility of Carolina the other day, I believe. I'm not sure, A-Rules. I know there was a list of linked. Let's look it up. Austin Eckler potential landing spots. Look at CBS Sports. They seem to actually do something. All right. Let's see. So Chicago Bears are one of them. That would make sense. I hope that doesn't happen. Detroit Lions, that's not going to happen anymore after they just signed David Montgomery. So they have David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift, and forgot their other running back's name off the top of my head. So they have 3 running backs. Don't know if that's going to happen. Denver Broncos, I guess, would be one. Oh, yeah, you're right. Carolina did get Sanders. Okay. But what about that 1-2 punch? You're looking at Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders. I mean, that ain't bad. No, you're good, dude. I'm okay. This is just time for me to give you guys whatever I can. And my phone's going to help me out. But Denver Broncos are one of them. Yes, and we'll also cover it a little bit more at the end to kind of give you guys more of an outlook on his current contract. To talk about Miami Dolphins is one. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen unless they trade away Raheem Mostert or Jeff Wilson. Houston Texans, another one. I don't think Texans because they got Dameon Pierce. Dude was a stud last year. Dude was a stud. Those are some of the top landing spots. Out of all of them, the 2 that make the most sense are Denver and Chicago. Denver and Chicago. Now, Denver, who are their running backs? Javonte Williams. Samaje Perine, that's right, they just signed him. So maybe not Denver. I don't know. This is a tough one. Yeah, Texans will Texan. Yeah, Texans aren't great. But hey, they're making moves. They're trying to get back on track, okay? After Bill O'Brien completely destroyed that franchise. Lose DeAndre Hopkins. We definitely lost Deshaun Watson. We know about that situation. We won't cover it. J.J. Watt out of the building. Jadeveon Clowney out of the building. They had no money and terrible talent. They've just been stuck. Yeah, for real. For real, John. Oh, speaking of which, thanks for A Rules. He brought this up. Let's talk about Jamal Williams real quick. So there was hope in the Detroit Lions fan base, at least for most of them, that they wanted to bring back running back Jamal Williams. The fan base absolutely loved him. How could you not? Dude's awesome. Great human being. He was a stud on Hard Knocks. I loved his pregame speech. He ends up finding his way to the New Orleans Saints shortly after David Montgomery decides to sign with the Detroit Lions. But we're going to look at his current contract, what the contract looks like for Jamal Williams and the New Orleans Saints. Now, this signing means that New Orleans isn't sold on the fact that Alvin Kamara might, either get suspended or locked up. If you don't remember, Alvin Kamara just 2 years ago ended up getting arrested right after the Pro Bowl. I mean, immediately after the Pro Bowl, ends up getting arrested. Why, you say? Well, because him and his buddies were getting on an elevator. Some dude wanted to join. They said no. They jumped him, broke an orbital bone, caused serious damage. Okay? Can't do it. Won't do it. You make millions of dollars, quit making stupid decisions. Don't understand it. Okay? Sure, you had a few too many to drink, but no excuses. Okay? No excuses. So Alvin Kamara, his court case is finally coming to life. There's an investigation still ongoing, but it seems as if Alvin Kamara, due to this signing, at least to me, is probably going to get suspended. Not really sure for how long it's going to be, but that is probably what is going to happen. Now, if we look at the current contract for Jamal Williams, okay? Per Tom Pelissero, new Saints running back Jamal Williams gets a 3-year, $12 million deal, which pays out $5 million in year one, including a $3.9 million signing bonus. So his $3.15 million in base salary in 2024 is guaranteed, with a $700,000 roster bonus also due next March, pretty much at this time. So $8.85 million over the next 2 years, and then a $3.15 base salary in 2025. So not too bad at all. Look, $4.4 million the next 2 years, basically per year, is what he's getting. I like it. I think it's a perfect deal for Jamal Williams. Last year, didn't he have over 1,000 yards? He did. Yeah. Oh, my God. He had a hell of a year. Best year of his career last year. 1,066 yards, 17 tutties. 17 tutties. How you like them apples? How you like them apples? That is what we like to see. Okay, Jamal. Straight up balling. Now you have to remember in Green Bay, he was behind Aaron Jones. At one point, they let him go because A.J. Dillon was an absolute freak of nature, but he lands with the New Orleans Saints, who also have Derek Carr at quarterback. So hopefully they're turning something around down there. Jameis Winston decided to stay on a one-year deal. New Orleans could probably take that division if I had to guess, just because Tampa Bay, they're lost without Tom Brady in touchdowns. But I think Jamal Williams is a dog. I think he's headed in the right direction. He's probably going to be the Saints' #1 running back if I had to guess. That is all pending the Alvin Kamara situation. Nothing more is released about that whole situation, but this signing tells me that something's going on. This definitely tells me something's going on. So Jamal Williams back, or with the New Orleans Saints. Now this one was kind of interesting, this next piece of information, because we all know when it's time to hang it up. Right? We all know when it's time to retire from anything, or when it's time to quit in general from anything. You know, your heart already can tell you, hey, I've had enough. Well, there's been a retirement in the National Football League, kind of a big one, just because of his age. Just because of his age. But for him, I think he realized this was the smart decision, the right decision. I'm sure he has a plan B, because why would he retire if he didn't have a plan B? Well, I will read this to you guys because I'm not sure if you can see it. I can barely see it right here. I'm going to have to get myself some bifocals. But, per Daniel Popper, former Chargers safety Nasir Adderley announces his retirement on Instagram. This is a shocker. 25 years old, same age as myself, and he decided to hang it up. Okay, so I'm going to read what he basically said, if I can read it myself. Oh, look at that. I can. He said, after a period of self-reflection, I've decided it's time for me to walk away from the game of football. Over the past couple of years, I have denied this realization, but I'm finally going to put myself first for once. My health is above anything, and everyone around me knows that. Truly understanding my purpose has given me the confidence knowing I don't belong in an employee anymore. My purpose involves spending more time with my loved ones, business ownership, and chasing my passion of true liberation. With that being said, it has been a dream come true to play in the National Football League and have the opportunity to play for the Chargers organization. I believe I have yet to scratch the surface of the player I could be, but if it's at the expense of my peace of mind, then it's no longer for me. Through it all, I can proudly say I've given this game my all through everything I have endured. It's been a joy to create such amazing relationships, and words can't express how much love and gratitude I have for you all. Nasir Adderley decides to hang it up at age 25. Age 25. Now, the line that gets me the most, gets me the most, is I believe I have yet to scratch the surface of the player I could be. Okay? So he thinks he can be way better. Way better. I mean, he's only 25, probably hasn't even hit his prime yet. But he says, if it's at the expense of my peace of mind, then it's no longer for me. And that hits home, man. That means, like, when you love something, okay, but it starts going away. It starts dwindling away. You start hating it a little bit more each and every day. You don't want to go to work no more. One what do you want to say? One little mishap leads to 2 mishaps, leads to 3 mishaps, and you're like, fuck it. I'm done. I'm out of here. Okay, I don't want to play this game no more. Now he's, I think, dealt with a couple injuries over the couple years. But you got to do what's right for yourself. Your health first, your mental health, your physical health, whatever the case may be. 25 years old, this guy decides to hang it up from the game of football. And football is a brutal sport, man. Absolutely brutal sport. So I have no hard wishes on this man, or if you could say, I don't know. But congrats on one hell of a career so far up to this point. Hell yeah, Nasir. Appreciate your services to the National Football League. I'm sure your life will treat you better on the other side of things. But big news, man. That's kind of crazy. He realized that his peace of mind was not at the right spot and needed to get out of there. A Rules says, who's going to take his place is the question. Okay, good question. So if we look up the Los Angeles Chargers depth chart. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Jesus Christ. All right. Boom, right there. Because I'm not really sure. Safety. Derwin James. Oh, God. They're going to have to draft one. Or they're gonna have to sign somebody. They got Derwin James, obviously. Stud. He'll be fine. Alohi Gilman. Does anyone know who Gilman is? Absolutely, boxing. Absolutely. A Rules, I think he was only in the NFL for about a couple years. 2-3 years, maybe 4, if I'd assume, because you don't get drafted until, what, you're 20, 21-ish? So maybe 4 years in the league, just realized it was enough. Oh, no. I meant to say, oh, God, like not on him. It's just their backup guy. Their guy that's at the free safety position, Alohi Gilman. I don't know diddly squat about that man. Derwin James, a dog. I mean, absolute stud. But yeah, Los Angeles loses a young safety, 25 years old. They're going to have to find a replacement for him. Not really sure who that's going to be. But that's some news for sure. For sure. Moving forward, I believe this also happened a day ago. So this happened yesterday. I believe we talked about it or we touched on it, but the specifics didn't come out on this move. But Pittsburgh Steelers signed Cole Holcomb. This is per Tom Pelissero. The Steelers agreed to terms with former Commanders linebacker Cole Holcomb earlier this week on a 3-year deal pending physical, per source. He's 26, started 48 games for Washington, a big addition to Pittsburgh's defense. Now, apparently, he passed his physical, unlike Jimmy G. I guess the Raiders YouTube channel is talking about that. Hopefully, he passed it because that means that deal is not done. That deal is completely washed away. It doesn't mean shit, and we'll move forward. But he passed his physical. Cole Holcomb did. He signed a 3-year, $18 million deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers today, the new middle linebacker and signal caller for them. I am excited about this. I think it's a great signing. Cole Holcomb is a dog. At least he was with the Washington Commanders. But at the same time, maybe you got to give some credit to that defensive front because they are studs over there. If we look at Cole Holcomb, last year, 69 total tackles, no sacks, no interceptions. Really didn't do too much, probably a little banged up as well. But in 2021, had his best season, 142 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and a sack. So he can get it done when he needs to be, but he's going to Pittsburgh where their defenses have been incredible. I mean, literally since the beginning of time, Pittsburgh has had a fantastic defense. I think he's going to be A-okay, and that's probably due to this signing is the reason why they probably let Myles Jack go, if I had to assume. Yes, they did. Darius Slayton did get re-signed by the Giants and Paris Campbell as well. We can actually jump right to that. So Cole Holcomb did his thing. Hell yeah. That is actually the next piece of information. We can talk about Paris Campbell real quick. Let's hop on over to him. This is per Jordan Ronan. Paris Campbell is signing a 1-year deal with the Giants per source. He's 25 years old, room to thrive in a new offense, showed signs last season. He had a career best 63 catches, 623 yards, and 3 tutties. Okay. The Schultz report, as Pat McAfee calls him, little latte. First on the agreement. So Paris Campbell finds his way back with the New York Giants, I believe. Did he play there last year? I thought he was a Colt. I mean, he definitely was a Colt. No, he played with the Colts last year. What am I doing? Yeah, okay. So he finds his way to New York. I like it. That's a good signing because Sterling Shepard can't stay healthy to save his life. Darius Slayton gets re-signed, which, is that the next piece of information? It is not. Where is that? Right there. Okay. But Darius Slayton also re-signs with the New York Giants on a 2-year, $12 million deal or base value with a max value of $16.5, which means incentives and stuff like that, sources say. The 2019 fifth-round pick returns to East Rutherford after a bounce-back season with 46 catches on 724 yards. Darius Slayton versus Darius Slay matchup stays in the NFC East after all, which brings me to this. Remember that piece of information we talked about yesterday? Darius Slay is going to be on the move. Well, that was just a load of mumbo-jumbo. He ain't going nowhere. Tweet it. It's been fun, Philly. Let's see where we're headed next. He comes back literally hours later and said, well, time to run it back. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't fucking leaving. Have you heard that? If you watch that movie, definitely watch it. But Darius Slay not leaving Philadelphia. He remains there. They're bringing the band back together. They're looking for another Super Bowl run They definitely could do it. Re-signing Jason Kelsey to that 1-year, $14 million deal or something like that. Fletcher Cox is back in the building as well. They lose a couple defensive pieces, but I think they'll find a way to get him back in the building if I had to assume. So Philly's going to be right back where they left off, and it'll be exciting to watch. They did lose Miles Sanders, but I believe they picked up Rashad Penny. I think. Yes. Former Seattle Seahawk. That's just off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken. But the Giants are loading up, which they need to give Danny Dimes some weapons. They got Darren Waller from a via trade from the Kansas City Chiefs. Or no, from the Las Vegas Raiders. They used the pick that they traded Kadarius Toney to trade. So here, I'll step back for a second, okay? Let's make this a little easier. Okay. Giants trade the pick that they received for trading Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs to the Raiders to receive Darren Waller a day after he got married. Okay? Josh McDaniels, scumbag. Why would you do such a thing? Why would you do such a thing? Cheap. It was the 100th overall pick. That's all it took to get Darren Waller. Okay? But he finds his way back there. Danny Dimes and the Giants looking to make some moves. Moving forward. This is a big news. Graham Glasgow, free agent guard, finds his way back to the place, the home that drafted him, the Detroit Lions. Per Adam Schefter, former Broncos free agent guard Graham Glasgow, the Lions' third-round pick in 2016, is returning to Detroit on a 1-year deal worth up to $4.5 million per source. Massive. Cool beans. Not sure how this helps him. Maybe he's just going to be a depth piece, or maybe he just steps in there from day one and does his thing, and this is kind of a contract or kind of like a prove-it year. You're back home. Prove us that you're worth more years or a bigger contract than what we're giving you currently. Not really sure the whole scenario of this situation. If you want to know, I'm sure Derek of Detroit Lions Syndicate has a video already up. You can check that out, Detroit Lions Syndicate, where he talked about Graham Glasgow. I don't know much about him other than he's a guard. And he was drafted in the third round in 2016. Started his year with the Lions. And, oh, yeah, that's right. He got a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. So, there you go. There's that. Another news. We got to talk about it. OBJ. The Lions definitely could be good. They were good last year. I think they shocked a lot of people, but not myself. Watching Hard Knocks, I was like, this team's going to be a problem. Okay, the next 5-10 years, they're going to be a fighter, man. They are going to be damn good. Now, they just got to get to the playoffs. Once they do that, they just got to win. Okay? I don't think they've won a playoff game ever. I don't think. Maybe once. But yeah. I'm sorry if this is a little bit off topic, but we are going to hear anything about Odell. Yes, I'm going to bring it up right now. Let's get to the Odell Beckham situation. All right, so Odell Beckham the other day held a private workout where NFL scouts had come and watch. The Minnesota Vikings were a part of that. New England Patriots, I believe, were a part of that. Dallas Cowboys, and multiple other teams as well. But here's a little update. It's kind of broad. It'll help you make it a little bit more sense, if you will. But nothing set in stone. This is per Diana Rossini. Several teams continue to show interest in OBJ and are in touch with OBJ's reps. Some are waiting to see how the wide receiver market settles, but have spoken with a few teams today who are hoping they can land the star receiver. Now, that's kind of vague. It's not much to kind of work on, but Dallas is a real possibility. The New York Jets is a real possibility. I could even say the New England Patriots is a real possibility. They just signed Juju Smith-Schuster. Probably need some more weapons for Mac Jones. That could make sense. Where do you guys think OBJ lands? Where do you think he ends up? Packers would be hilarious. Aaron Rodgers leaves. They finally give Jordan Love some weapons. That would be pretty funny. But 3 of 3 from me. What about the Vikings? Because they were there during his private workout or whatever. You know, it depends on how expensive he is, you know? That's kind of what it boils down to for me. Right. I know exactly what you mean, A-Rules. Like, I'm not expecting him to come here either because that's just not a Minnesota Viking thing to do. Like, why would we go sign this guy? But there's conflicting reports, okay? Allegedly, he wants about $20 million per year. I ain't paying OBJ $20 million a year. No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay. Yeah, last season it seemed like the Dallas Cowboys were going to be one of those teams that took a chance on him. But they didn't. Bears? No. I mean, they got all the damn money in the world, so why not? They could definitely make that happen. Jeez Louise, we do not need that. Can the Bears just stop? Chicago needs to cool it for a little bit. If there's a Chicago Bears fan in here, I'm sorry. Miami? Ooh. You're talking Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. They just signed Braxton Berrios, and now you add OBJ to the mix? Okay. Boxing, I do not want to imagine it. I'd be so pissed. I'd be so... we just got rid of Aaron Rodgers, or close to getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. Can we just chill, you know? Miami wouldn't be bad, though. I could see that. I just don't know if they have the cap space to make that happen. But it wouldn't be terrible. Ooh, to the Raiders. Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Smith, or Devontae Adams, excuse me. Who else do they have over there? Never mind, he left. So OBJ to Vegas, I could see that. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Wouldn't be a bad move. Man, there's a lot of okay, nah, maybe. How about this? Tennessee. No, OBJ needs a big market. Even though Green Bay would be sweet for him. Yeah, Vegas does make sense if Jimmy G does pass his physical. Not really sure if that's 100% true. But per Pete, who was in the chat earlier, the Raiders YouTube channel was talking that he did not pass his physical. And I don't think I've seen anything pop up since then. The Titans could definitely do with him. I would not be opposed to Tennessee. Carolina. How about them apples? I'm not going to believe that he hasn't passed his physical until I see confirmation. Because what would ultimately happen then, contract becomes voided instantly. Unless they decide to roll with it. Maybe he's fine within the next couple weeks or maybe a month or something like that. Or maybe the Raiders will just continue to be the Raiders and say, he'll be fine. Or something like that. But usually in that scenario, the contract becomes voided. Boom, he hasn't signed it because you don't sign the contract till you pass that physical. So maybe they would rework it or they would reevaluate his situation or maybe they go for the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. I don't know if they have the money. Yeah, okay, I can agree with that statement, John. Yes, Jimmy G and Tua are built to be backups. They're damn good. Damn good. But can they win the big time games in big time moments? Jimmy G couldn't. Yeah, he won a couple Super Bowls, but he was the perfect backup for Tom. Okay. Tua, he's been struggling, but he's also been injured a couple times left and right. Those concussions. Yeah, probably not, but I mean, you never know. The NFL is a wild place. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But that's kind of the news on the OBJ front. Let's move gears. Right. Exactly, John. Exactly. This is some good news. Some sort of good news. Remember last year or during the season, Bills-Bengals game. Seen one of the scariest thing ever. Kind of made you sit back in your chair and realize like, oh, damn. Like it can end just like that. Life can end just like that. Damar Hamlin on a routine tackle. Gets hit on a routine play, like I've mentioned, and his heart stops. Actually stops twice. I believe they had to resuscitate him 2 times or something like that. because he stood up, looked like he was fine, and fell back. Scary moment. I mean, I was getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking of it because you don't ever see that. But when you do, you realize that this sport your life can just end at any moment. So enjoy every little step that you have on this earth while you got it. But Damar Hamlin, there's some good news after his recovery. No, those were not doppelgangers or fake people in his place at all those other, venues that you were seeing him at. He's real. He's still alive. There's hope. And it looks like he's moving in the right direction to play this season. Damar Hamlin finding his way back on the football field. What a dog. Man, after that, I would have said, okay, I'm going to take my talents elsewhere. I'm done. But no, he has a different mentality. The locker room seems to like him. He's a very nice guy. But Damar Hamlin moving in the right direction per Brandon Beane, okay, Buffalo Bills GM, which is good news. That's a good sign. Hell yeah. Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's just so crazy because what happens if what happens if it happens again? Hopefully he makes it again. But hey, he's a dog, man. He's a different breed. He wants to play, and I do not blame him. I do not blame him at all. Maybe wait a year, but he doesn't want that. He wants to make his money, and he wants it now. All right. Last bit of news before we shift gears to what we've missed during the start or before the start of this show. Some big news. Indianapolis Colts, they have the 4th overall pick in this year's draft. A lot of speculation of them taking a quarterback, I would assume, okay? Carson Wentz experiment, Phillip Rivers experiment, both were booty cheeks. The Matt Ryan experiment, also booty cheeks. However, they have found their new backup quarterback. Per NFL and Tom Pelissero, the Colts have agreed to terms with quarterback Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania is real. Back in Indianapolis, or not back, but in Indianapolis now. He's expected to be a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with upside for Gardner Minshew in Indianapolis. I love this signing, as John said. Dog. Yes. Former Eagles backup comes in, does his thing. I mean, he slings the rock, man. I love his explosiveness, his, just his mentality. I love his mentality. It's top tier. Okay, he goes in there, doesn't care who you are, what you've done. He's going to throw the ball all over the field, scoring touchdowns, and hopefully lead his team to victory. Yes, Nick Foles was. But Gardner Minshew is probably going to be the backup with the Indianapolis Colts, what makes you believe instantaneously that the Colts are going to go with the quarterback. Maybe they trade up to that number 2 spot or that number 3, or they just stick at number 4 and take what they get. Maybe Anthony Richardson. Doubt Bryce Young falls. Doubt CJ Swell. They could fall. Maybe Will Levis. I'm not 100% sure, but that is kind of the situation as it is currently. Gardner Minshew, the backup or the new backup for the Indianapolis Colts. Matty Ice was released yesterday. That's right, you were not here. So he was officially released yesterday. Excuse me, right here. Yeah, this is Ari Mirov. Let's get out of here real quick so I can give you the whole rundown. Boom. Ari Mirov said the Colts have now officially released quarterback Matt Ryan after 1 season with the team. This move saves $17.2 million in cap space, but Indianapolis will be left with $18 million in dead money. We'll see if Ryan wants to continue playing. This will be his first time as a free agent. I'm assuming he's retiring. That is what I assume. Nothing has came out, but maybe he wants to run it back one more year. There's teams on the market. If Jimmy G failed his physical, maybe Matty Ice finds his way into Las Vegas. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But there are teams that could use his expertise. Maybe, I'm assuming he's going to retire, potentially be a quarterback coach somewhere or something like that. But okay, yeah. Okay. Kind of a spit in the face. Well, then you guys would have Rodgers then. That would be interesting. Yeah, but there's a difference between Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan. You know? And Brady. There's a big difference. Matty Ice he was winning 28-3 against this guy. And what happened? That's what I thought. Brady got a ring. Matt Ryan did not. Oh, and then he also blew that massive lead against the Minnesota Vikings this year. Ooh, biggest comeback in Vikings history, maybe in NFL history. Was it 31-3? All right. Matt Ryan likes to blow big leads. Likes to blow big means. Who will grab him? I don't know. Probably nobody right now. Probably nobody. All right, so let's go check Twitter, see what we missed so far before we wrap up the show, which appreciate everyone who tuned in today. Thank you guys for the likes. If you haven't yet liked, drop that like, subscribe to the channel. It'd be much appreciated. We'll probably be live tomorrow as well at the same time, 6 p.m., pending on other stuff that I have to do. But let's get right into it. Dolphins backup. Oh. Yeah? Well, don't they have... They just signed somebody, I think, at quarterback. Yeah, Mike White. He won't go to Miami. Mike White just signed there yesterday, I believe. Yeah, I do not have that picture, I don't think. Nope, I do not. Yeah, Mike White's back there. So that won't happen. Yeah, day 5 for sure tomorrow. But we ain't done yet. Let's go look at Twitter. Let's see what we missed. Okay. There we go. So, Aramirov says the quarterback market roundup. Derek Carr goes to the Saints. Jimmy G goes to the Raiders. Potentially. Baker Mayfield to the Bucks. Jacoby Brissett to the Washington Commanders. Taylor Heineke to the Falcons. Andy Dalton to Carolina. Sam Darnold to the 49ers. Gardner Minshew to the Colts. Jarrett Stidham to the Broncos. Mike White to the Dolphins. P.J. Walker to the Bears. Case Keenum to the Texans. So there you go. John, your Facebook post was completely wrong. I almost commented on it, but then I seen that you corrected yourself, so kudos to you. I instantly, once I seen he got released, I was like, bam, XFL, get him in there now. But he realized there's a lot more money to make, and he's staying there in the NFL. Okay, we talked about the Gardner Minshew. Don't care about long snappers too much. Oh, John, I think you've seen this one already. I think you see. Yes, it will be at the same time, A-Rules. 6 p.m. I promise you that. But appreciate you watching, my guy. Appreciate you. Much love. 6 p.m. If anything changes, just go to my YouTube page and then see when I am when it's scheduled for. Sorry. John, you're not gonna like this. The Bears are signing former Packers tight end Robert Tonyan to a 1-year deal. Oh, boy. John, how do you feel about them apples? Not too good, huh? Not too good. Not too shabby. Robert Tonyan to the Bears. Man, they are making moves left and right. We'll see if John wants to say something. Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. He was Who you guys going to have then? At tight end. Who do you want? Are you going to draft a tight end this year, you think? Because what? Green Bay Packers. Boom. Depth chart. Let's take a gander, shall we? Yeah, Tonyan to the Bears is a good signing. Because they needed a massive rebuild, and they did that this last week, basically. If my phone wants to load, be fantastic. Michael Mayer. Where's he from? Shout out to people on Facebook for tuning in. Let's go. Appreciate you. I'm also live on YouTube, so if you hear me reading the chat and don't know what the hell I'm saying, that's because I'm reading the chat via YouTube. So don't be afraid to chime in. Notre Dame. Okay. Why isn't this loading? Bruh. Technology is just a... John, who do you got at tight end? Because my phone ain't loading. There we go. All right. Oh, Josiah DeGuara. Okay. Not bad. So, yeah, you'd probably draft one then. You'd probably end up drafting one. So, Robert Tonyan, 1-year deal with the Chicago Bears. Not too shabby. The Seattle Seahawks, per Mike Garafolo, have agreed to terms with quarterback Drew Lock on a 1-year deal worth $4 million base with incentives that can take it to $7.5 million, sources say. So they bring back both Geno Smith and Drew Lock for 2023. Geno's obviously going to be the guy, but if he turns out to be, a Joe Schmo like he was prior to last season, then maybe Drew Lock comes in, but I think it's Geno's teams through and through. Geno's team through and through. Darius Slay reached a 2-year extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. Remember, we talked about that. He was leaving Philly, then he wasn't just a couple hours after. Like, what are we doing? But they reached a 2-year extension through 2025. No specifics on the money. Nope. Okay, here it is. Expected extension. Slay agreed to a 3-year, $42 million extension that includes $23 million fully guaranteed. Oh my God. The extension was confirmed and negotiated by Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey. Those two have been making a lot of signings this free agency period. So there's that. Darius Slay back with the Philadelphia Eagles. Talked about former Panthers running back Deonta Foreman signing a 1-year, $3 million deal with the Chicago Bears. Oh, Mayer and Hyatt to Green Bay. John says, we need him. We need him. Yes, you do. And I'd be okay with that. I would definitely be okay with that. So let's see. Jesus, yeah, the Bears have done so much shit. So the Bears, real quick, this is what they've done so far this offseason. Signed linebacker Tremaine Edmonds to 4-year, $72 million deal. Signed linebacker TJ Edwards to a 3-year, $19.5 million deal. Signed guard Nate Davis to a 3-year, $30 million deal. They traded the number 1 pick for wide receiver DJ Moore, pick number 9 and pick 61, a 2024 first rounder, and a 2025 second rounder. Okay? Definitely, this is the Bears free agency week per boxing. You're not wrong. 1,000,000%. Then, they're not done. They signed running back Deonta Foreman to a 1-year deal. They signed Robert Tonyan, tight end, to a 1-year deal. They signed quarterback P.J. Walker to a 2-year deal. They also signed running back Travis Homer to a 2-year deal. And there's one more. They signed defensive tackle Andrew Billings to a 1-year deal as well. The Bears aren't done, baby. They're making moves. They are sick of being at the bottom of the NFC North year in and year out. And, yeah, man, they want to go on a run. They want to go on a massive run, and I don't blame them. I really don't blame them at all. I mean, could you? Could you? Yeah, bro. Like, the Bears are stacking up. I don't understand what the hell they're doing or how they get all this money. But they are making moves. They are making moves. But shout out to everyone who tuned in today. Let's go. It's much appreciated, man. We reached over 100 views today. Didn't think that was going to happen at all. Kind of cool. Had 13 people in here at one point. It's been a blast. Free agency is real. Chaos is happening. More news will be breaking as soon as we get off this live stream. But we will for sure be back tomorrow with more breaking news, more free agency moves, stuff of that nature. But y'all are real OGs. I appreciate you guys tremendously. Thank you for watching. If you haven't dropped a like, make sure to do so now. Everyone in the chat, from Boxing to A-Rules to John to Mark, everybody else, Pete. There was one other guy in here, but I believe he deleted his chat after I said something. I was like, what does that mean? But shout out to all you guys that actually came in here and chatted with me and had a blast, got your fix, basically. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central Time, per usual, to give you more news around the NFL. Have a great rest of your night, folks. And you just got your fix with the Wicks.